Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll.
I recently visited my daughter and she said, Mama, I got you some cocoa liner from a fabric store. And I said, fabric store? She said, well, it's fabric and crafts. Thank you, sweetheart. Just look at the little seedlings coming up. I see the purple rooster bee balm is budding out to open. I'm trying to start some little clippings off my fuchsia that I bought recently, and I know they look terrible right now, but let's wait and see. They could come out of this, and once they get their little root going and I trim off all the old dead stuff, they could be beautiful, or they could stay just like this until they turn perfectly brown and die. But that's not what I'm hoping for, so I'm going to hope for this to be a beauty later on. It's Thursday, June the 8th, and I realized that even though I trimmed most everything in the back, all the old dead blooms, I missed most everything in the front that needed clipping back. I'm seeing some pretty butterflies on this catmint, and I would love to get this common on here with its wings spread open. I think these are so pretty. If you can catch them just right for a picture, they're the little spots that look like eyes on them are just like iridescent. So what I actually came out here for was, well, one thing, I got a new little item for the garden. I don't have it hooked up yet, but it lights up and it bubbles out at the top right here. And I love anything in a spherical form anyway, so I like it if I ever get it set up, and if I ever get this arranged. I've got some pretty items out here, but this little arranged the way I have it is not really good, or maybe it would be if I had the right plants in it. I was noticing that there are several places where everything looks so scraggly. These may grow up to be pretty, because this one is, of course, the variegated Swedish ivy, and if it takes off and goes, although it's actually got to looking worse, and you can see right there beside it something has died. You can also see right beside it I planted some little zinnia seeds, so this could still fill out. And then I had the little yellow butterfly planter in the back with 5 tiny little pots in it, and I thought, I actually had tried putting zinnia seeds in them too, but they have not come up. And also I wanted rose moss in them. That's what I had on them last year, and they looked good because when they bloom they just fill that little pot out, and the butterfly looks great when it's full of rose moss bloom. But I thought, well, they'll probably have things on sale now. I might go down and get a few more little things and get some rose moss, which I didn't exactly find the regular rose moss, but I did find this rose moss. These are the bigger rose moss blooms, and I've never got this, and they're closing up now that I set them up here in the shade. But I've never got this to come back from seed for me, whereas the other one lots of times will. But I am going to see what I can do with all of this stuff, and I went ahead and got a fuchsia, which I never have good luck with these, but they're so pretty, and of course the hummingbirds love them, so I thought, well, that was worth a try. Actually, they were not on sale yet, so I didn't get very many things, and I don't think I need very many, but I'm hoping these few little ones will just make things look better. Even just these pretty little impatiens, if they would live and put them over here with this and give it a little pop of color, would be great. I love this little begonia, or begoniaette, or something like that it's called, but I do love it very much. And you can see that my impatiens that I did the second time are looking good, but I did lose some hostas. They actually ate at least 2 of my pretty new hostas. I'm sad about that, and I'm not sad about that, I'm mad about that. So, but you know, we just have to go with what we get sometimes. I also noticed that my little coneflower here is beginning to open up, so it won't be long till it's, and I think this is the pretty creamsicle orange one that I love so much. And I have 2 of these celotias coming up here. The one is right in front of her, which I don't want there, but when we get our rains and a little bit cooler weather, if that should happen, and it is in the forecast, so I have reason to hope, but I'll pull that one up, and I'll plan to put it over here. This is another one of the same coneflowers, and I'll plan on putting that other little celosia in this pot and hope that it will take the transplant and do well. I have got to spray for insects again too. You see how they've eaten on this, and I just saw one go inside here. I don't know if I can show it to you. I don't know if I can kill it, but it's in there. I'm almost sure it is in that middle of that. There it goes. So not only did it mess up my little clip, or I messed up my little clip, but I missed him. He flew away, so that's not good. But I know I need to spray. Those things can get out of hand quickly. Okay, it appears that I was right. Even with all the additions, it still just looks a little lacking, but a little scraggly. But I still think maybe I'll be right when it grows up too, when these little seedlings becomes a plant. And I did put in this pretty, I don't know, blue, purple, mauve impatient, and this one is a pink one, like this one right up here, which should tie the 2 together. And so and I put just some little sprigs of Joseph's coat in with this one. I have another one, you can't probably see it, but it's right back here, and that's actually where I took the little clippings from. So we'll see how they will do. They may not do anything, so, but I'm thinking they will. I'm hoping, of course, that they will, and that this could end up being a great beauty before the season is all over. But anyway, I tried. That's pretty much the best I can do, and we'll see what will become of it. Oh, and also I did put a little rose moss in this little pot. And that big old bloom that it has will probably draw attention to it through the season too. And this little plant that we transplanted is so disappointing me, because it even looks like it's dying now. Some of it definitely is gone, so I'm going to trim some more of it off. And I can just hear Alma telling me, Nancy, sometimes you just have to let things go. So if I have to, I will, but I'm going to keep going until I know I have to. So look, there's a little bit of life left there. We'll see what it will do. And this is my next little project for today, to try to get some rose moss or some of that. I don't know what that slightly larger moss is called, but it has it has the rose moss like foliage with that larger bloom. It's very pretty. So I'm going to try to get it in these little pots. You can't hardly see them, but there are two more underneath on the bottom layer of this little butterfly pot holder. And I'm also noticing, notice this pretty pastel pink, which is fading out in the sun. And these are doing fairly good. I might put an extra little impatient there, but look at these. These are the ones I was really noticing that I thought I might want to bring your attention to, just because they're shining that pretty pink right now. Looking good. And I have a former classmate that put on Facebook she would like to have some Bouncing Betty. And so I definitely have some of that, and she's planning on coming, and actually she said she's going to be so happy to see the garden, so I hope it looks good for her. But it will be nice to have a visit from her, and hopefully I'm going to try to go ahead and get this out of here so we don't have to be all sweaty and dirty in the garden. Take that back. If it's warm at all and we come out and look at the garden, we'll be all sweaty, but maybe we won't be as dirty as we would be if we had to dig this out. So hopefully I'll have that done today. And evidently the monarchs are not the only butterflies that like this little butterfly weed. I've seen several on it today. As well as the honeybees. Okay, again, something that looks like I did almost nothing, but actually I did. And I planted these little rose moss in here and in the bottom pots too. And so hopefully one day I'll get to come out here and bring you with me and show you a little container of little bitty pots that are just blooming with big pretty rose moss blossoms. And I did get my former classmate some Bouncing Betty out of this little pot, and my little pot is still full. And she has a little pot right back here that's also full of Bouncing Betty plants. And while I was watering, I came across this little beauty I wanted to show you. I know the other that I just showed you is also very pretty, but it had already bloomed once, and this is the first bloom for this color for this season. And I've had a visitor at night, evidently, because something had knocked this little bird off, and I had to glue it back up there, and I think she looked a little better last time. She's a little worse for wear, but not much, so she's going to be fine, I think. I had also got this little container fixed. It was the only one of my cocoa liner containers that I hadn't already redone for this season, but I've got it done now. So I've got everything watered. I've got all the little plants that I purchased today put in, and they certainly did help fill out places and looked so much better now. They have a chance to look better now that they're full, or will be when they grow up. I'm pretty sure we have some new babies too. I don't see them, but I can hear them, and they're not making the noise for me now, the little chirp, but they kind of are. I don't know if you can hear them. Last night I got this little thing painted and back in the garden today after a wonderful rain. The rain I was hoping for, so I clipped the ones off of this and that were kind of going back to let me see, how can I even describe it? I could show you one of them, but I think they're all pretty much wilted down. Just a minute, I'll see if I can find one. But these that I'm fixing to show you were on this too, and I took them all off, so now all that's left is the pretty stained glass coleus, and they were also the same root, so we'll see if these will stay this beautiful color or turn back to the other color, and what the little clippings that I took might do. So these are some of the little clippings, which are pretty in their own right, but they're not the ones that I want. Actually, it'd be great if these would turn into the stained glass ones, and I put some up here which are already wilted down. Some of these may not make it, and it's already getting warm out here. So, but I'm hoping, you know, I'm always having to hope. Remember the little clipping I took from this copper plant? And I put it right over here. This I just trimmed off of it. It's all dead and yucky. But look at the remainder. It's alive. And now that the old dead stuff is off of there, I'm suspecting that it will just take off and grow. But my little well, I had another one of these, the Lenten roses, in the back of this pot, and I don't see any sign of it. I hate that. So I have already got some things that I wanted to do when we got a rain, and that's to transplant this little gar. You can see it's got a little bloom right there. But this is dwindling down. I have put in so many places trying to get it started, and it has not started yet. And this is a very small piece with only one root system. So it had several, and now I'm just hoping this one will grow me back several more. And here is where I transplanted the piece that I took off of that one. I had one here too last year, but it did not. Well, I think it may have came back, but it just didn't get healthy, and it went ahead and died. I think snails or even roly-polies got the root of it, and then of course the foliage just lays down and wilts and dies. I also just now clipped this little one off and put it in this pot. So I'm doing some of that today. And I clipped a little bit of this little one off and put it right over here. The one that I had there didn't make it. It was just one of the little rootings from the window. So hopefully this one will. And it's got a pretty bright color. And it'll help these two pots. There's another one over here. But it'll help these two pots to kind of match a little bit. I kind of like that sometimes. But of course there's no guarantees these will make it either, but I'm hoping they will. This is as good a time as any to give it a try. And when you clip these off, it will not kill your other plant or even make it smaller, because it might make it less tall, but it will be wider and thicker and more healthy, not just a little spindling tall thing. So you'll have two beautiful plants instead of one. Or you'll still have your one good plant and the other one won't make it, but I'm hoping it will. And this is like I say, it's best chance. If you can find a good rainy day, which today it looks like our rain is gone and we have clear skies and sunshine, but I'm not sure. I'll have to listen to the weather report, but when I heard it earlier in the week, we had chances for rain for the weekend, so maybe we'll still get some tomorrow also. That would be great for getting these little ones started, and hopefully the temperatures keep down a little bit. But right now as I'm working out here, it does not feel like the temperatures are down. Look at this beautiful orange purslane moss. You can tell it loved the rain. And this little yarrow with the pretty bright red blooms that I've been threatening to divide and put in more places since last fall, and I didn't get it done then. I didn't get it done this spring. So, but I've got it done now, and I've got a little piece of it right here close beside it. Let's see, and I got just a piece. I did go ahead and clip the tops of some of it off because it just helps it to not be trying to heal the dead part, and go ahead and put its root down. It may not do much, if anything, this year except live, and that's all I'm expecting and hoping for, really. I mean, it'd be great if they bloomed again this fall. Very likely to happen even. And I put a little one just right over here too. So I've got 3 now where I did have 1, and that's great. And of course I do have it in this little pot too, so it wasn't going to totally die out if I lost 1, but I just really like it, and so I don't mind having several. I did do several of my pots and get them where they're all have some little seed in each of them. This is not one of them. I don't think I have enough up here to put them down in these. I'm not sure these are all the same. I think some of these may be weeds. I know that one. This one right here is definitely a zinnia, and the one right there beside it. But these, I don't know what I'll do with these yet. I'll see. I would love for this little one to be pink and yellow. Profusion zinnias. That's the vision in my mind. So I'm hoping I'll get to do that. But if not, I'll just, God maybe has other plans. Right here would be a great spot to plant some pretty little coleus clippings. I've got a couple of zinnias coming up in the back. I'm seeing I have something right here, but I'm not sure if that's a flower or a weed, but I'll leave it until I can better tell. And I'm afraid if I put some coleus clippings here, they're just going to wilt, but maybe they'll do like that little copper plant and just come back out of it after it finishes wilting, because while it's wilting, it's also building its root. And right here's me a little coleus that's growing a bit tall, a bit spindly, and I think if I clip that one off and put it someplace else, it would fill out like it has down here at the bottom and just look much prettier. Although I do like that peeking out over the top too. And I was making my way over here to the rain gauge just to show you that we got just a little over 1.5 inches. So that is great. And my little bouncing Betty is kind of wilted down, as is my former classmates. So I'm hoping, and I do believe, you can tell that one right there is perked up. I think they'll come out of it, and if they don't right away, we'll have to go ahead and trim all the tops of them off and let them build their root a little better, and then they'll put their foliage up and be healthy still, I believe. And I have tried that pink Gara in this pot 3 times. It's just not taking this year. It has been in this pot before, but it doesn't want to be there this year, I guess. So we're going to see how these little clippings will fare in here. And freckles are beautiful.
I had just got in from caring for the garden when my sister called and said they were coming through and asked if they could stop so the boys could see the garden because they found their Aunt Nancy on YouTube one day and they've been watching me ever since, off and on. And so I appreciate that, guys, and so glad to see you and enjoy your company in the garden.
Home run! We're playing baseball. I got a home run.
Yeah,
How
he
long?
taught me how to drive.
Yeah. Poor guy.
So we got a little bit of rain last night, so I realized that I forgot to start some of my little Mexican flame vine and some of my passion vine. So I put a couple of sprigs of those in. I don't know if they'll have time to make a root, build up their foliage and put me on a flower, but here's hoping. And look at this, if you didn't already see it when I went by it there for a minute. I think this is the Casablanca lily. Oh my, they're the biggest and so beautiful. And when I watched the weather last night, or yesterday evening, all I heard was it's going to be hot. It's going to be in the 90s. So I came out here and watered. And looky here. We got rain last night. It's wonderful though. I still love the rain. I know there is such a thing as too much, although I hardly believe it at all, but I know it can happen. We had some erosion last year from one of our little downpours, and then we ended up still being in a drought zone. But I'm always loving the rain so far. And I did notice yesterday when I was watering that we do have zinnias opening up now. I'm pretty sure more will follow suit. I'm going over here to these beautiful spider daylilies. Even in the rain, they look gorgeous. And I'm seeing from here that another one of these little lilies, these Asiatic lilies, has come up or opened up. So after our rain, I decided I was going to go and see if I could find some more coleus and put them in little places where it's kind of empty or sparse. But I didn't find any. However, I did find some geraniums and some periwinkle. So I put those in little places. I also found this little icicles plant. I always like the little blue cast on the greenery in the garden. Just adds to all the other colors of green, all the other shades. I filled this little pot where it didn't have anything in it, or where actually I had put something that died, but I filled it with the little clippings from the strawberry drop coleus. They're tiny, but I told you before, they're mighty, and most usually they do just keep billowing out and over and trailing down and looking more beautiful as the season wears on. This little pot, my seeds didn't come up in it. I think one did. That's a little one back there, which may grow up to be beautiful. But until then, I got this beautiful geranium and this little tiny verbena that I am hoping will fill out the whole front of this pot and hang over and be gorgeous. I also have some new daylilies blooming today, or new for this season, not new to the garden. And this is an Asiatic lily, a pretty pale yellow. Beautiful spider daylilies, yes. My husband was whispering in my ear, daylilies. And one of my screaming orange daylilies is opened up today. And this is another of the big Casablanca Asiatic lilies. So here's another daylily, but I wanted to show you this little plant, which doesn't look like much right now, but we went over to Sunshine Nursery. I had seen this when I looked for Santa Helena, but I didn't get it then, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. But this is a blue salvia, the woody kind that's perennial and usually does very well. Just not in bloom right now, but look, even that foliage is so pretty. There's a lot of blooms on the St. John's wort now. I think last time I showed it to you there was one or two, and now it's just full of them. Let me go up closer again to get this fiber optic looking bloom. And they all look like that. They're just so pretty. Ballerina yarrow and the dark daylilies. My little strawberry pyramid that is so not full at all, but maybe later. Look at my little polymer prints. Isn't it doing great? It even loved the rain. I've been a little bit fearful that this little cactus would not like so much rain, but so far it's looking great. We'll just have to go. I know I've already showed you this, but isn't this Casablanca lily just gorgeous? And this is my little Henry, and doesn't it look healthy? And I think it's beginning to put up a little one that will be a vine and reach up, and I can put it up on my little obelisk. It's that big. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh. So I'm sitting out here with my former classmate that I saved the Bouncing Betties for, and we're just enjoying being together and seeing the garden together.
It's wonderful. It's beautiful. I am so impressed. This is just a blessing of the month. Thank you.
Thank you.
You try to be a blessing, and you just end up being blessed.
So I filled this up with some more little Chinese dunce cat. So now it's pretty much all the way around, and they will proliferate. I'm pretty sure they have always in the past. Matter of fact, I got these from another pot that came back more readily than this one did. I hope they always just keep coming back, at least in some places where I can move them around and get them going again and keep them going. And that little 3/4 inch of a rain turned into an inch of rain. I'm getting so spoiled. I just come out here and look around and take pictures and just enjoy myself instead of work all the time. And that's just great. And I had taken this little birdhouse down. It was just breaking apart. Plus, it had for many years become just a place for wasps to get into. So I stopped it up. There's not really a hole there. I just painted it black so it looks like one. And it's just a little decor piece, which is what it always was, but at least now the wasps don't get in it. And the day that I came out after putting a bunch of little clippings in and moving several of the little seedlings from one pot to another, I knew I had to do that while it was rainy, or there would be no other time. We're still going to get those 90s, and they're just right around the corner, so it's going to happen. But I was so afraid that next day, because it did get up pretty high, the temperatures, and it was, humid, and I didn't know if they were alive, but most of them, I think, are still alive. And if they've had this long now, I think they're working on that little root and probably have enough to keep them going so that hopefully they will make it. Maybe not all of them, but surely some of them will, because they just looked so good. But of course, you know how we are when we feel great one day and maybe not so great the next, and because of what's going on around us. So these little plants are the same way. They, the beauty of the garden is often at the mercy of the weather. And my little Bouncing Betty actually had a couple of blooms on it, so that my friend could see these in bloom. And I don't remember if I showed you that my Sugar Shack bush is blooming. They don't last very long, but oh, they're so pretty. I guess because I love anything that's in a spear, it just draws me right to it. But it's a pretty little green bush the rest of the time too, but having these little balls come up on it is just a little extra special. And this is the little Henry clematis that I got for Susie to replace the one that she gave to me, so that we'll both have one. And it looks like it's doing pretty good. I hope it continues on to look just gorgeous for her in years to come. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.